Live. Thanks everybody for joining us for a new webinar today. We're really excited today for what's coming up next. This is our fifth week with Mix with the Masters. We're doing a webinar every day. We have different amazing producers, mix engineers, mastering engineers, artists coming up here and trying to answer as many questions as possible for you guys, staying safe at home and we're trying to share the knowledge here. And today we're really excited to welcome a Grammy award-winning producer, composer, musician, mix engineers, Illangelo with us today.
Hi, everyone. So happy to be here. Thanks so much, Victor, for having me.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone, I'm going to go through some of these comments here, and I'm hopefully going to get to all of them. And I really hope that I can help answer everything you guys have to ask me. So I'm just going to take it from the top of the chat and make my way down. All right, this is from Sarmad Ghafoor. I hope I pronounced that right. Hello, and thank you for doing this. What part of the production do you spend the most time on? Probably the end. Probably the end of the song. Because making the idea can be quite fast, but it's the refinement that really takes a long time. And so, especially when the song is down to the very end, it's like that takes forever. Just to give you guys a reference, when I started working on After Hours about a year ago from now, man, a lot of those songs took a long time. So I would say the refinement. Alex says, thanks so much for doing this. What advice would you give to finishing mixes and tracks? Yeah, this is a great piece of advice. Take it slow. Don't rush anything. Take your time. Don't overcook it. If you're spending more than 3-4 hours on a song, just don't spend any more than that, you know? Just spend... Oh, I hope my headphones are still on here.
You good?
Okay, great. Just after 3-4 hours, just take a break, come back the next day. Don't rush nothing. I find that after 3-4 hours, you start not making as much progress forward. So be quick with, after 3-4 hours, just take a break, work on something else and move on. If you don't, you're going to spend a long time and you're probably going to make a lot of mistakes that the next day you're going to have to go back and fix. So I would say 3-4 hours, keep it moving. That's it. This is a question from Bogdan Dremin, and they said, why did I switch from Cubase to Ableton? I used Cubase for a very long time. Ever since I remember, I was using Cubase. And I switched to Ableton maybe about 2 years ago, I think, because it's faster, man, and it's fun. Cubase is cool. You can do some crazy stuff with Cubase, but Ableton, the workflow is very fast. And I heard so many things from people talking about the sound quality difference between the two, but I don't know, man. I did a lot of tests, and at the end of it, the only real difference I could find between Ableton and Cubase was the pan laws are very different. But there's a lot of great VST plugins that you can use to accommodate for a better panning algorithm than Ableton uses by default. Outside of that, just make sure all your levels are low on the mix, like on all the records that I've worked on Ableton, including the After Hours album. I just try to start all your stuff low so you're not clipping the master bus, because it's not as forgiving as Cubase or Pro Tools. at all. So just watch out for the headroom. Otherwise, Ableton's a shit. Get the pan law figured out. Just use another plugin for that. You shouldn't have a problem. And it's actually so easy. It's so fast. You can bounce everything. It's the best. I love Ableton. I got another question from Bogdan Dremin asking if my Moog one is 8 voices or 16, and I got the 16 voice one because I think if I'm going to spend money on a keyboard, I want it to be the full voices. I don't want to cop out on the 8s. I want the full 16. Luna Studios is asking if I mix in Ableton or do I still mix in Cubase. For a lot of this new album, I was going to bounce everything off of Ableton and import it into Cubase because technically Cubase is 64-bit and the headroom is infinite. But when I started doing that, I started running into a lot of problems because as I'm producing, I'm mixing, and as I'm mixing, I'm producing. So there really isn't a clear line when I would have been able to stop on Ableton, bounce, import into Cubase. It would have just been a mess. So I really like keeping everything in one session. So I did everything in Ableton from start to finish. Bogdan asks, what were your music influences at the time of creation of House of Balloons, and what to study to make Crazy Sonics? During House of Balloons, I don't even remember, man. I'm sorry. Radiohead. I was probably studying Kid A. I was probably studying In Rainbows. They, at that time, those songs really spoke to me and they were really inspiring. So probably that. Where's Doc McKinney, and what role did he play on your co-productions? Doc McKinney I think he's in Toronto. And Doc is the best. Doc's an amazing person. One of my closest friends. I wish you guys could know Doc the way I know Doc, man. Doc's a shit. And what role did he play? Doc's always pushing things to the next level. You know, just when you think, Doc's always pushing. He's always striving for greatness. That's why I love him so much. Matt Foster Music asks, are you guys getting video? Oh, okay. Let me read some of these before I read it out loud. Okay. My top 5 favorite effect plugins. Shit. Let me open up Ableton and take a look and see. I'll give you guys some right now. 1 second. Okay, I gotta drop a couple. And I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing this wrong, but the Valhalla stuff is phenomenal. It's to the point. It's resource-wise, it's so quick, and the flexibility you get with it is honestly massive. So I love all of their stuff. What else do I got here? There's a new reverb from Native Instruments called RAUM, R-A-U-M. That shit is crazy. I love that. Now, for delays, all the Sound Toy stuff is amazing. For filters, I love using Volcano. The easiest is the fastest, but there's so many good ones, guys. I know you guys are maybe looking for me to tell you guys something that you have never heard before, but so many plugins do such great stuff, and a lot of times I'll try switching out different ones. So if the Volcano isn't doing it right, I'll switch to the Filter Freak. If the Filter Freak isn't going to work right, I'm going to switch to the Moog multi-mode from UAD and try doing some stuff. There's one called let me just double check here. No, okay, that's not the one I want to talk to you guys about. Yeah, There's one from Sign Vibes. Man, you guys should check out that company. They have a lot of really great products. They have a lot of really fun stuff. They have a circuit bent filter that's amazing. And I'll say a couple more. Super VHS, that's cool. Clippers, guys. Use Clippers. They're very good. There's one from JST. It's called JST Clip. That's amazing. Try that out. There's one called, there's a plugin that is called Halftime. I'm sure a lot of you guys know. That's amazing. Try that. There's a plugin called Endless Smile. Try that. That was amazing. That really helped me with transitions, on a lot of transitions, because it does the filter with the delay, with the reverb, all in one knob. It's amazing. Check that out. There's a plugin called Denise. Denise has incredible plugins. Check them out. And then, of course, if you guys haven't got a chance to check out the company that makes the company called Ohmforce. They make a plugin called Homicide and Ohmboys. And that is some really, really, really great plugins as well. So check them out. And I'm going to say a couple more. Definitely check out. Okay, so check this out. Check out a plugin called Perception. It has two plugins. One's called Controller and one called Source. And you put one at the beginning of your chain, you put whatever plugins you want in the middle, and then you put the other Perception plugin at the end. And it allows you to accurately A/B with the same volume of what you're doing before and after. Because a lot of times you'll be throwing plugins, you'll be making moves, you'll do stuff, but the changes of the volume will really make you think you're doing something better when you're not. So really just be careful, check shit. Perception's a great plugin if you want to be critical, and especially for master bus stuff, you know, check out Perception. And then check out Leapwing Audio. They're making the best mastering stuff. Now, I know that's more than 5, but those are some really great plugins I wanted to share with you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy that. Okay. Harry Michaels here says, "Hey, Illangelo, thank you for doing this. Your music and story is incredibly inspiring to me. Can you tell us about the process you went through to develop your skills as somebody who is self-taught?" Absolutely. So check out Gary V. That's all you got to look. That's all you got to look into, is you got to check out what Gary V is saying. Gary V is the man. He knows what's up. There's no excuses for anything. You guys should be Googling, checking out on YouTube, because that's what I did with everything. Anytime I didn't know anything, I went to YouTube, I Googled, I checked it out, I read. Trial and error, trying things, making mistakes. It's okay. I make mistakes all the time, guys, left and right. We don't have to get upset about it or disgruntled forward, Also, be really, don't shy away from, sometimes you got to really pick up on stuff, People aren't going to tell you stuff. You got to really kind of keep your eyes open and just be aware, see what's going on, try something. If something isn't working, then try something else. Keep trying things until things start to work. And that's it, guys. It's not complicated than that. You just keep trying stuff until it works. And then when it works, it works. And then when it doesn't, it doesn't. And you just keep trying and you keep evolving. Don't ever be focused on the negative. Don't ever be focused on what's wrong. Just stay focused on the positive. Okay. So I think I'm done with that question. Has there been, Jack Gordon asks, has there been one technical bit of skill or specific technique that you have employed into every project you've worked on? If so, what is it? The only technique that I've ever employed into anything I've ever worked on is just to keep everything fresh. Don't get stuck on formulas. That's okay. So one thing I've always done, just to go back on the last question, that kind of ties into this question, is one of the things I always made sure to do is when I'm doing anything, I always made it a habit to do things from scratch and build up. Because if I start loading presets or chain, like stuff that I have on chains, and if I start using all that stuff, then I'm not really listening to what is needed, and instead I'm kind of just like throwing all the stuff on. So I really treat everything from scratch. I work everything from scratch because every sound has a different level of like carving that needs to be applied to it. So I think it was very important for me, since I first started music production and mixing, to do everything from scratch. It's in my opinion, it's very important. Jose Pedro says, what do you think it takes to get into the industry as a sound engineer? And you got to be good, and you got to be fast. You got to be solution orientated, and you got to be fast. And you got to be fast. If I forgot to say it again, you got to be fast, quick. Prioritize when you're doing stuff. If you're going to label stuff, do that after, when the time allows. In the moment when creativity's happening, creation's happening, just be ready for that. Always. When it's time to record, you make sure your shit's ready to go, that you're a button away from hitting record. You're making sure everything is good to go. You're making sure the mic is right. You're making sure the reverb is right. The delays are right. You're making sure you're feeling out the artist. If they want what they want, you're just there, very attentive. That's what I would say. If I worked with a sound engineer, that's what I'm looking for. I want them to have all of that, Emmanuel C says, hope you're doing okay during the virus. And yeah, I'm doing phenomenal. Thank you so much. I drove from Los Angeles to Calgary, Canada here a couple weeks ago, and I'm doing really good. I'm here with my family. Thank you. Jonas asks, hi Carlo, how did you get the reverbs on Heartless to sound so huge without getting in the way of the rest of the track? Well, thank you. I think I could have done better on Heartless. Worked really hard on that record, but I still think I could have got it sounding better. The big trick that I do on a lot of stuff, but that I did on Heartless and a lot of other songs on the album, was I used a plugin called Soothe from Oak Sound. Now, Soothe has a plugin called Soothe 2 that they just released, and it's amazing. So knowing to sidechain stuff out the way is really important. I'll share with you guys, what I did a lot of the times is I would put the entire track in a group, and I would throw Soothe on it. And then I would sidechain the lead vocal against to Soothe, so that Soothe is carving out room for the lead vocal. And you really don't need much, just a touch. Even if you're getting peak dips at 3 decibels, perfect. And also, Jonas, a lot of automation, muting stuff when it needs to cut off. That is really important as well. And I think for that song, I think I used a reverb from Denise called Perfect Room. That's a really fun plugin to use. I highly recommend you guys check that out. George Leslie asks, Carlo, how do you walk the line between pop and experimental music so successful? Example, The Hills. Well, how do I walk the line? I really, really, really love creating sounds, and I really love creating environments. Like when you listen to something, I love the idea of hearing things in its own spaces and its own places. I love hearing sounds out the right speaker with a reverb panned hard left. I love doing little things like that just to create this whole environment. And pop music's cool. Doesn't really do it for me, guys. That's kind of why I don't, that's why I do what I do, is because I don't really care. I think pop music's kind of boring. So I try to bring the fun in it. I try to bring the creativity. I try to bring things that I'm super into it. So because if you're too clean, if you're too safe, it's just boring. I wouldn't rather do it. There's a million other people out there, and then at the same time, if you're too experimental, well, that's its own thing too. So finding that marriage, it's taken my whole life and it's still a work in process continuously. Thanks for the question. Another question here says, how do you visualize sounds? Do you see them as colors or shapes, and how does this affect the way you make music? I don't visualize sounds. And it's not that I don't see colors or shapes, but I'm not really giving attention to that. I'm really just focused. Okay, let me give you guys an example, right? If you're too focused on colors or visuals, or if you're too focused on your external environment, not saying that it doesn't have a part in the creation process. It absolutely does. And I hope later on I can maybe touch on that. But if you're too focused on the external, you're going to be missing the whole point, which is the audio. So it's good to keep your attention and your focus on the audio and not to get too distracted with other stuff. Yeah, it's helpful it's helpful to have different colors in the room. Yeah, I have a whole thing that I highly recommend. That I do when I'm working, and it works very well for me. And but I would just say I try to stay more focused on the sounds. I try not to get too lost into the visuals until afterwards. I hope that helps, guys. Got a question here from Yaman. And again, guys, I hope I'm pronouncing these names correctly. I'm really sorry if I'm not. I'm doing my best. This question says, hi, Illangelo, can you talk about your approach to loudness metering? I tried getting into it, guys, but it just... If I start getting too caught up in numbers and where things are hitting, then you start losing oversight of the whole song. So if you guys want, the truth is this: I actually don't look at nothing. I just you mix with feeling. Okay, don't look at numbers, don't look at meters, don't look at none of that. Just mix with feeling. At the end of it, when you kind of got things to a good place, yeah, you can start, fine tuning and tweaking, and you can start getting a better balance. You might start mixing where the drums are really pumping and then things kind of get lost, but just take it step by step, guys, and stay away from numbers, man. I'd say stay away, stay focused on the feeling, because that's what's really important. And let the loudness metering stuff, just leave that for mastering engineers, in my opinion. Fernando asks, hello and thanks for your time. What are your favorite keyboard sound sources and process? Okay. There's nothing is off limits here, guys. Everything is fire. Splice has incredible stuff. Output has incredible stuff. Omnisphere has incredible stuff. You can download such good sound packs for all of these. Arturia, all of the synths that they released are so fun to play on. So all of it's good. Whatever's bringing the inspiration, even if you have to start with a loop or something, right? Like a lot of times it takes a long time to program drums manually and to get everything dialed in inspirational. When I was, uh, well, what I'm trying to say is that if you need to get something fast and quick and inspiring, do what you got to do. Don't be picky. Use it. You can always go back afterwards and tweak it out and make it more unique or special to yourself. But whatever, it's okay. It's all okay. Use it all. It's all great. Let me take a quick look through my instrument list here and see if there's anything that's coming to mind that I'd like to share with you guys. Anna 2 from Slate Digital is awesome. Check that out. Arcade, phenomenal. Check that out. Atlas, phenomenal. Check that out. Cypher 2, phenomenal. Check that out. Diva. Reactor, you can get some awesome sounds on Reactor. And XO, phenomenal drum plugin. Check that out. I have a question here asking about phase cancellation issues. Yeah, this is a big one. You know how you fix it? You got to have an awareness. Secondly, if it helps, flip the phase. What sounds better? What I do, if I'm focusing more on low-end content, then I'm going to start with that. I'm going to start with, like, for example, on songs that I'm utilizing really pure sine waves for the low end, and I'm using some sound for higher frequencies. I'll start with the sub, because nothing will be in that way. And then I'll introduce all the other textures and sounds on top, and I'll make sure I'm carving that stuff right out. So I'll be using the FabFilter Q3, and I'll be using a slope of 96, and I'm just straight up carving. And then when I'm getting that sine wave in its pure form, if everything's EQ'd right, you shouldn't have much of a problem. If something is questionable, you can try flipping the phase. You could see if it's better or worse. You might want to use the one plugin from UAD. Let me just give it a quick search here. It's called... Oh, guys, I can't find it, but it's the phase plugin that's in UAD. You can start moving within all of the phase, and you can really lock it in. But if you just do the right sound selection from the beginning, you won't have to go too crazy at the end. So I hope that helps. BR2D2, does the production of the tracks go hand in hand with Abel's songwriting recording process, or are they done separately, and how do they inspire each other? Yeah, it goes all hand in hand. It's really hard to say one comes without the other, or the other, or the other. It kind of all works together. The way that you got to look at it is this. You need to get the most, you need to inspire, you need to make the listener, whether it's Abel or another artist or a listener listening to the content, you need to make them feel so excited when they hear this. That's how I look at it. You need to make them so when Abel's, if Abel's walks into the room, I want to make sure that those drums are ridiculous. I want to make sure that his vocals, even if they're a rough vocal, even if they're gibberish, doesn't matter. I'm dialing in that shit as perfect as I can, so that when the artist is ready to lay down their final vocals, it's already done. Everything's locked in. So, and guys, I can't emphasize, this is really, really, really important, because what you're able to do then is you're able to inspire them to take it to another level. So it's like a tennis match, So always do your best and push things so that you can get the most excitement from the artist, listener, or however you want to label it. I think that's very important. Okay, I have a question here from Cameron saying, can you talk about the style or structure arrangement, particularly trilogy era? I think that what makes you so unique as a producer. Thank you so much. Structure and arrangement. Don't even look at that, guys. Especially trilogy era. That's Abel a lot of the times wanting things to be very specifically the way he wanted. He didn't care about making it perfect 16 bars. He was happy if it was 32 bars or 64 bars. He didn't care. Let's not get too roped into what the structure or arrangement is. Yes, of course there is something to structure and arrangement. But guys, I think we've overdone it in the last couple of years. And I think we go through different swings and phases of music creation and consumption, which I feel very strongly. We're too focused on structure. We're too focused on arrangement. Not enough creativity. So you know what I would say? Fuck structure and arrangement. Stay focused on inspiring. Don't worry about that stuff. Bart MTL asks, when recording Abel, do you create vocal effects on the go to the headphone mix to feel the vibe, or do you record dry and do your magic after the recording is done? Guys, it happens all the ways. Don't think it's one way or another. Sorry, I got the last question with the trilogy era mixed up with this question. Sometimes it's good to do things dry. Sometimes it's good to record the artist with no auto-tune, nothing. Keep that stuff just really dry because they can hear exactly what they're doing. And if they're very serious about what they're doing, they're going to push themselves to get exactly the performance they want. Now, the problem with that is that, especially with a lot of records, if you're not saucing it up, if you're not getting the right compression values, if you're not making it feel fun, then you're going to get a shitty performance. So that's why it's really hard to say it's one way or the other. Also, if you oversauce it, they're going to underperform. So it's a balancing act of just giving them just enough when the artist is beginning to record. Once it's recorded in, I'm all in. I go all in. Every process, like for example, like what the final record sounds like, the artist, when we play back, will more or less hear everything running through that. Okay, another question from Camilo here. Hi from Sweden. Hi. What are your top tips to getting a professional sounding radio ready arrangement and production? Well, I would remove radio from the question altogether because who cares? And arrangement, production. I mean, yeah, if you want to do that, just get ready to do something really in the box. And if that's what you're into and that's what you want to do, go for it. But I take it, if you're asking me, I don't really care. You have to understand it. You have to study it all. So everyone will go through their own process through time and figuring out all these things. But I will just say for now, for the sake of time, just to touch on all these questions, don't focus on that stuff, guys. Just focus on inspiring, not for other people, for yourself. Focus on inspiring yourself and for the artist you're collaborating with. Don't be so focused on what's radio going to like, because you're going to have endless disappointment. Don't focus on that stuff, guys. Okay, I have a question here from Mohit. Can you give your take on mixing low end, how you establish a perfect relationship between kick and bass? Okay, thank you. I don't think I try really, really hard for achieving a perfect relationship. I don't know if I ever really feel like I hit it. Maybe. I don't know. How do I do it? Focus on the low frequencies first and climb up. So focus on, really, really, really low frequencies from 0 hertz, like 30 hertz, and focus on those sound sources up. Roll off everything, making sure nothing is really messing under 100. The couple things are going to be under 100. You don't want to have everything under 100 gone, right? But make sure everything is cleaned up, and that will really help. There's a great plugin called, there's a couple. I use FabFilter's Pro G, and I do a lot of side chaining. Don't think you have to go all the way in on side chaining to do side chaining. A lot of side chaining I do are literally 3-6 dB ducks against the bass when the kick comes in, or kick drum side chaining against the whole track, just a touch. Play with the subtleties. The extremes are cool. Fly to the extremes to quickly see where things are sitting in terms of the reduction if you're side chaining. But really, once you kind of got the settings dialed in, go subtle. 3 to 6 dB is a lot. On the hills, I was ducking the track. I was ducking things only by 9 dB, 6 dB. Vocals, kick drum was poking over the vocals by 3 dBs. Guys, we're talking subtle amounts here, so don't go crazy, I have a question from Manuel asking hello, Illangelo. When you're guiding the vocal recording in the studio, what do you focus on? I focus on the energy and the performance. I don't focus on minor stuff that I know I can fix in post. I don't focus on if the singer is saying everything perfectly, because it doesn't matter. You can fix it later. What you can't fix later is the energy, the emotion. You can't fix that later. So be focused on that, guys. Also, remember, there's a lot of different ways to do a lot of different things. So for a singer can sing a lot of different things with a lot of different voices. They can have a lot of different characters. Try different things. If the song is calling for something that's very exciting, try different voices, different characters. Try things, guys. Don't be scared. I would say probably one of the biggest reasons to me making a living doing music has been the fact that I'm always experimenting and always trying things. And because of that, you're going to get a lot of things wrong, but you're also going to get a lot of things right, and you're going to have a lot of fun. That's really what's important. Okay, I have a question from Mohit. The Post Malone I Fall Apart mix is so different, as if the whole drums are pushed forward and the vocal harmonies are crazy. Can you tell your experience of working on that track? If I remember, yeah. I don't think I'm going to have anything really interesting to tell you guys on that track. Thank you so much for the question, though. It's just feeling. That's it. It's just feeling, guys. That's all. I have a question from Fernando here. It says, with The Weeknd, how is usually the creative process to start new song ideas? Depends. Sometimes Abel comes in with an idea that he wants, and he's looking at me to push forward. Sometimes we're starting from scratch and we're creating. So it really goes all the directions. What's the effects vocal chain The Weeknd likes to use? Again, guys, how I don't, that's I don't know. Abel likes to have stuff sound done. Maybe that's why we work so well with each other. I'm going to go to another question. How did you distort effects, the vocal effects on the track After Hours? They are upfront and wet despite being quiet falsettos. Any favorite vocal saturators? Well, I think I'm going to do a track breakdown on some things soon here. I've just been spending some quality time with my family, but I think soon I'm going to do some breakdowns and I'm going to show you guys some things. But I think I used 30 or 40 effects on After Hours, just on the vocals. And there's automation happening on literally all of them. So, what I would say is really the trick to that song is spending months and months and months and months on it. That's the trick. You can't rush it. Don't think that you're going to start working on a song and it's going to sound like After Hours. It takes time, guys. It takes a lot of time. It takes months. I've been working the last year on approximately the 7 records that I worked on for the After Hours album. So that's a lot of time. That's a lot of energy. That's a lot of love. That's a lot of fine tuning. That's a lot of space. That's the trick. Don't get caught up in the plugins. Don't get caught up in all the other stuff. It's the energy. It's the love. That's what you stay focused on. How do songwriters who feel they have a strong song submit their demo to those who do not accept unsolicited material, aka me? What steps can songwriters take to get noticed? I highly recommend, if you got a great song that you want to see come to life, don't wait on anybody to do it. Do it yourself. Okay? Don't do it yourself. You can do it. The resources are everywhere. Make friends. If you're not technically inclined, make friends with somebody that can do it, but figure it out, because it's not just about this one great song you have and you want to get this one song noticed. These lessons go on for lifetime. You're going to have to learn how to collaborate, communicate, and just make things happen. If you're going to be sitting back waiting for people to make your vision come to life, you're going to wait lifetimes. So be proactive and figure out how to create it yourself. And guys, I know this from my own experience of trying to collaborate or work with people with my early years of everyone's busy. So stay focused on creating your stuff and make that come to life. I have a question here from Dat Boy D. What's the approach on the record of The Weeknd's voice? The approach is always what's best for the song. What's the driving factor? Stay focused on that. Stay focused on what's keeping you, what's moving you. So I'll listen to stuff blasting. I'll listen to stuff quiet. And a lot of times I don't listen to nothing. And so the reason why I'm saying this is because when you're working on a record, you want to give it that space, and you also don't want to give something space that doesn't need space. You don't think too much about it. You kind of just start blending things, creating things. You want to get that movement happening where your head's in that nod. Just, slowly start fine tuning. If you notice maybe a vocal's getting, buried a little bit, figure out, pinpoint with your ears what that sound is. Maybe it's a pad, bring it down, maybe notch it on the EQ, maybe sidechain it. Maybe it's a performance of songwriting. Maybe the vocals performed at a lower register. Maybe it should be performed at a higher register. There's a million different things. So those are some of the thought processes that I would go through when working on a record. Nate Wolfert says, blessings from the GOAT. Thank you. Thank you. By the way, love your studio process of eating organic fruit during sessions. You know it. Oh, guys, we have so many questions here. Holy shit. I think I can probably be here for hours. Okay, I'm just trying to find one of the questions I was just about to answer, and then my thing kind of refreshed. Okay, I'm sorry. That last question I got asked, the page refreshed. So I honestly, I lost the question. There's so many things here, guys. I'm going to try to go a little bit more fast. Any analog synths? I just bought a Moog 1. It's amazing. Otherwise, no. All in the box. How do you make a vocal chain with sparkle but without harshness? De-esser. Use a de-esser. I use a de-esser. FabFilter makes a great de-esser. I don't know how to pronounce it, but there's a de-esser called EIOSIS, EOSIS. Holy shit, that's a fire de-esser. Check that out. Because if you put that, if you're controlling the sibilances, then you can boost it post and brighten it up. So I recommend taming and controlling the vocal, getting it where it needs to be, and then post at the end of the chain, brightening it up. I love the way you mix synth sounds. Any tips for mixing synths? No, it's the same as mixing any sound, whatever's needed. I have a question here from Bogdan. Publishing deal, to sign or not to sign? What's your situation? If you need money, do the deal. If you don't do the deal. How's that? Ask your lawyer. Ask your lawyer. How about that? How to find a good artist to work with. Follow your heart. Follow people that make you feel good, that inspire you. Those are the people you work with. A question from Metal Productions. What's my headroom? Below clipping, period. Braden Wright asks, how do you personally ensure that bass plays and fits well with the mix? Any particular steps or rules or plugins? I feel like I might have already covered this, so I'm gonna pass on that. Terry asks, what do you do outside of music to stay inspired? Yoga, meditation. Don't get too lost in your head, guys. Stay present. Don't get lost in fantasies and dreams. Don't get lost in any of that shit. Stay present. Meditate. Now is the only thing that exists. When you're thinking in the future, you're out. You're gone. If you're gone, it's a problem. Just stay present. I got asked from Zane Pasta. Is there a skill that you're currently trying to improve at the moment? Yeah, I love yoga so much, and I'm doing it all the time. So that's really where I'm really focused on. Yeah. Leno Productions says, can you please tell us new things you tried on the Weekend vocal chain on after hours in order to keep it fresh? Lots of automation. That's fun. Keep it fun, guys. Always keep it fun. Have fun. So I use automation a ton. I used gain pre a lot effects and gain post a lot effects, and I would automate it. So certain words are only getting fed into the different effects a little bit, and then let's say there's a phrase or a word that Abel's saying that I want to kind of pop out, then pre-effect I'm going in and I'm automating it to be going up to 0 dB, right? So maybe I'll have the rest of the phrase at -12 pre-effects, and then when that one phrase comes in, I'll bring it up to 0, and then after that phrase is, I'll go back down to 12. So lots of automation, because that makes it fun. Don't be scared of automation. I honestly, on this album, I automated almost every parameter that you guys could imagine. Everything was automated. It's like a living thing, you know? Bear Blends asks, what's your daily schedule behind production? Yeah, I'll tell you guys. Spend time in the sun. Spend time outside. Don't look at your screen first thing in the morning. Take some time, take some space. What I do is I go, first thing I wake up in the morning, I go and I just sit and I just breathe. That's it. Guys, just breathe. I meditate. I spend some time in the sun. I have there was different yoga classes that I was able to attend before the quarantine, and I hit that up, come back. I'm not trying to consume too much content. I'm just keeping everything still. Then when I go into the studio, I'm just laser focused, you know? So don't get too caught up consuming all this information. I don't consume much when I'm in album mode or when I'm in creation mode. I really, that's why this last year I haven't been on social media. I just it's okay. I'm going to take a pause from it, you know, because when you're creating, you just want that space. If you're thinking too much, I remember when I first started making music, I used to idolize my idols, all the greats, Timbaland, the Neptunes, Kanye, Radiohead. If you idolize too much, you're going to stay stuck idolizing. So give yourself some space and just create. Don't compare, guys. Just create. I got asked what's my favorite vocal mic and pre. Guys, for everything we used an SM7B with a cloud lifter. That's what I say. Stay focused on the creation, on the art, on the contents, on the lyrics. Again, guys, the reason why I'm taking the stance is because I feel like there's a whole bunch of you guys that are, and even myself, I remember I used to get caught up way too much in gear. Don't do it. Don't fall for the mistake. The gear is great. It's there. It's very helpful. Of course, there's great microphones. Of course, there's great preamps. 90% of everything I've done has been on an SM7 going into any sound card I had available, from back in the day being on a Duet 1 and 2 to now being on or being on the Apogee sound cards to like whatever. Like, just don't focus on that, guys. Just use what you have. I got a question from Tyler, and it says, how do you create ambient vibes with tons of reverb and delays without getting it muddy or competing with other elements in your song? I don't know. I don't. I don't really think about that. I'm just creating. And it's more of the creation thing. So that's all. Another question. Main advice for beginner producers. Yeah, don't focus on the hardware. Focus on the intention. Before you even press a note, before you even program anything, focus on what the intention is. Don't get caught up in anything else. If you want to create great art to change the world, sit on that. The rest will unfold. You know? Look at it from that perspective. I have a question. What are my favorite in-ear monitors? Shit, I forgot the name, but I was using it a lot to finish the album. I'm going to share it with you guys. I just forgot off the top of my head right now, so I apologize. I'm going to try not to rush, guys. I'm just a little bit overwhelmed at all these questions. So, how was your experience growing up as a musician in Canada trying to make it? Any trials and any pros? Fellow Canadian in Los Angeles here. Yeah, Braden, I'll tell you. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do anything. Create everything. Create it. Be focused on the solution. I had people tell me I wasn't going to do nothing. I had people tell me everything. And that's fine. That's their perspective. But don't let it be your perspective. Stay focused. If you come from the heart and you have good intention, the universe is going to protect you and they're going to lead you where you need to be. So have some awareness for that. I got a question here from Verdine. What's your work process when you go into mixing mode? How do you organize the session? I used to do all of this stuff. I used to organize everything where instrumental would be on. I would separate everything instrumental, a cappella, and then I would do all the stuff. I'll just get to the point. Doesn't matter. Don't. Who cares? Don't look at all that shit. It's not worth it. But the time you spend organizing your session, I mean, if it's a real mess, okay, organize it. But if otherwise, do it as you work. It's the best. As you work, organize. How about that? When you're creating, when you're recording stuff, have everything ready to go so that you're not left with a big mess at the end. I have a question from Entrevus. Can you talk about mental health routines / wellness routines? Yeah, absolutely. Don't spend as much time behind a screen. Spend time in nature. Spend time outside. That's all the healing that we need. So I'm going to say that. Limit your activity on social media. Understand, guys, social media is a great tool. It's a great networking thing, but we're going to need to exercise some discipline because it's very draining. It's energetically very draining, and it's also a very strong way of programming us. So if we're consuming a lot of information off our Instagram, we're self-programming in a way because we're choosing the people we follow or on any social media platform. So I would just say, take some time away from social media and don't be too serious about it. If you do that, you spend time in nature, you're going to be great. Also, I stopped drinking alcohol, changed my life. I started eating primarily fruits and raw vegetables, changed my life. I could talk about that if you guys want, but I don't know if you guys want that. But that has been some of the biggest changes I've ever occurred in my life. But I want to lead more. I want to show you guys by leading by example more than I do than just telling you guys a bunch of shit. That's why even on my page when I'm posting stuff, I don't want to be talking too much. I want you guys just to see what I'm doing. Don't get caught up in what I'm saying. Just watch what I'm doing. You know, don't. So that's also what I'll share. I got a question from Mike. What's up, Mike? How did you refine your creative routine over the years? By never making a routine. That's the biggest tip I'll tell you guys. Even if you have a routine, you know, like for example, I really like essential oils in the studio. So I really love getting that stuff happening. I love getting the lights ready. I love energetically, you know, putting great intentions into the environment. I like doing all that stuff. So that's a part of my routine. But I would say when it comes to creatively pulling up sounds, I love looking into the unknown, and I love just being in that place of just not being sure what's happening, because that's where the magic is. Okay, question. You know, guys, I might have to glide over some of these questions. This is a lot. Okay, question from Asti. Says, love Illangelo. Thank you so much. I love you too. Any advice, philosophy on getting the best out of writing in the room with artists? How do you manage performance anxiety or fear of failure? Be a good person. Don't judge. But I can't tell you guys that. That's something you guys, it's something we all learn, have no fear of failure. Failure is inevitable. It happens. It's a part of the process. It's yin yang. It's one or the other. So don't have fear for it. Just know that it's there and that it's okay. Sometimes it's okay to say, hey guys, let's take 5, or I'm going to take 5, 10. It's okay to do that. Don't feel like you need to. I think that was one of the biggest problems I had with working in LA and working with so many artists, was that we were placed in these environments where we needed to we felt forced, like we needed to create at that exact moment, and guys, that's just not where the good stuff comes from. So try to keep it casual, try to keep it fun, and try to be accepting of everyone and listen to everyone. Be a good listener. Everyone has great things to say. Listen to them. Pay attention, Did I listen to Mike Dean's album? No, I didn't, but I'm really excited to check it out. Okay, guys, I have time. It's been 1 hour, and honestly, I feel like we just started. Holy shit. I have time for a few more questions, I guess. I'm getting told here. So I don't want to rush this, guys, but let's see. I'm going to try to do a quick scroll. Okay, what type of drum processing was typical for me during the House of Balloons mixtape? Guys, none. Just keep it. Don't go crazy. I really wanted to keep everything very dynamic. Very dynamic. I didn't want to follow the trends of overcompression, because I feel like that's kind of where we're at in the last couple of years of music. Everything is over compressed to shit. So when we were doing the trilogy, I really wanted to make a mark to show people that things don't need to be squashed to shit, that things can be open, they can be dynamic. So I kept everything really open. I did a lot of parallel stuff. And we got the trilogy mastered by Mark Santangelo, who did an incredible job of keeping everything open and emphasizing the kick. So yeah, there you go. Okay. I got a question from Derek. How do you survive on just fruit? Well, it's the most energetically fueling food that we have. It's the easiest for our bodies to digest. It gives our body the most energy. I've never felt better in my life. If you guys haven't tried it, try it. Research Dr. Robert Morse, research Dr. Sebi, and that's what's up. So many good questions, guys. I'm going to answer maybe 2 more. Or a couple more, we'll see. I got asked, do you mix with headphones or speakers? I mix with both. Headphones towards the end, because I'm able to really be surgical. Speakers beforehand, so everybody in the room can hear what's going on and have fun. Can you talk about the live drum recording or other techniques you used on EXO or the host? There was no live drum recording. Everything was in the box. I might have used BFD to do any live drums. That would have been. I don't think for EXO the host, I don't think I had anything like that. What did you use to make those stuttered kicks, percussions, and crew love? Manually program that in. Hi from Italy. What's up, Matteo? How was the process for In Your Eyes? I love how everything is mixed. Thank you so much, Brian. In Your Eyes. Oh, I didn't do In Your Eyes. You might have to ask whoever mixed In Your Eyes. Damn, guys. You asked me a lot of great questions. I can't even... I'm going to scroll to the bottom here. Maybe I could pick up a couple things that stand out. How do you get the bass in the zone? Okay, the bass in the zone is a sine wave, and it's a vinyl sample being triggered to randomly start at different times in combination with the pitch changes of the sub. So it's two instruments, and the vinyl sample is getting triggered. It also was compressed, and it had the low end rolled off. So you're kind of getting this sub with this little bit of grain thing on the top. So don't confuse, don't dismiss the top end information. They all come hand in hand. You got to work with it all. And that's how the bass on the zone kind of came about. Just a total simple sine wave. That's it. And do you ever get overwhelmed working on a project? Never. Well, guys, there's a lot of questions. Maybe I think one of the biggest things I really, really want to share with you all is guys, I'm experimenting consistent, always. That's the real thing here. Don't be scared. Try experimenting, try different things. That's the only way you're ever going to find out stuff. So keep an open mind. Don't be quick to judge. The first thing shouldn't be negative. The first thing should just be more solution oriented. Follow your heart, follow your gut. Also, there can be a lot of, maybe the thing I'll leave you guys on is this. You don't need to be creating in the studio. A lot of creation happens when you're not in the studio. And what I mean by that is a lot of the intentions and a lot of the energy, a lot of your thoughts that you're thinking outside of the studio, that's as you are creating no differently than when you're in the studio playing a keyboard you're creating. So our thoughts create. Keep that in mind, because for all of anyone on here listening, if you're writing, producing, if you're singing, if you're just creating anything, that's great. Stay there in the creation. Don't compare. Just stay in the experimental. Create. And there's going to be times where you need to dip out of that creation spot and kind of snap back and collaborate with people. And that's a real collaboration process. And so be present for that. But for the most part, guys, I mean, shit, you got to try stuff. You got to make mistakes. That's really the best advice I can leave you guys all with. I think that my curiosity and passion for frequencies and sound design, and never going the quick route, I could have gone the quick route so many times in my life. I could have done so many things a faster route, but it's not fun. It's not fun for me. So if your intention is different, then maybe that's fine for you. But for me, staying in that experimental place and learning, like each sound at a time, everything you guys do, take it, step by step, slowly by slowly, and you guys are going to create the most amazing works that I'm going to be so excited to listen to in the time ahead. Because also, guys, remember, things don't stay up forever. I have my mentors that have inspired me. I'm grateful to be in a position to be creating and sharing with you guys you guys are going to be in a position to be creating and sharing back with me and the rest of the world too. So we're all in this together. Okay? I hope you guys I'm so sorry for not getting to all the questions, guys. It's so many here. I deeply love you guys so much, and I hope you guys are enjoying the new album. It's just absolutely phenomenal. Abel did such an incredible job, and the whole team. And I'm so happy to see all your guys' reactions. I love you guys all very much. And thank you so much, Mixed. Thank you so much, Mixed with the Masters, for having me. I really appreciate it. I love being able to speak with you all.
Thank you so much, Illangelo. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
Take care,
for doing
guys.
it. Thank you.
Ciao.